How your brain secretly turns your worst mistakes into your greatest strengths. You remember the feeling, the cold drop in your stomach, the heat rising to your face, the deafening echo of one single thought. I failed. Society has taught you to fear this moment, to see it as an ending, a brand of shame that marks you as unworthy. You've been told to learn from your mistakes, a hollow phrase that offers no comfort when you're drowning in regret. But what if that shame, that gut-wrenching pain, was not a punishment? What if it was the first, critical step in a hidden biological process? A process so powerful, it can rewire the very structure of your brain and forge profound innovation from the ashes of your worst decisions. You believe your mistakes define you, that they are chains holding you back. The raw truth is far more shocking. Your mistakes are not your chains. They are the raw, volatile fuel your brain has been secretly waiting for, the material it uses to build the person you were always meant to become. You are on the brink of discovering that your greatest moments of failure were never the end of your story. They were the violent, necessary beginning of your true transformation. The moment you realize you've made a mistake, something ancient and powerful ignites within your skull. It happens in less than 1/10 of a second. Neuroscientists call it error-related negativity, or the ERN signal. But that clinical name hides its true nature. Think of it as a primal scream inside your mind, a biological red alert that floods your consciousness. This isn't just an emotion. It's a measurable spike of electrical activity, a raw, unfiltered response from the deepest, most instinctual parts of your brain. It's the neurological basis for that jolt of panic, that wave of anxiety that makes you want to disappear. This signal doesn't care about your feelings or your ego. It is a survival mechanism, a biological klaxon blaring a single crucial message. Warning: the expected outcome did not occur. Attention required immediately. We have been conditioned to interpret this alarm as a personal failing, a sign of our own inadequacy. We feel the burn of the urn and immediately retreat, seeking to numb the discomfort. But by doing so, we are aborting a sacred process. We are hanging up the phone on the most important call of our lives, mistaking the fire alarm for the fire itself, when it is merely the signal that a profound lesson is about to be forged in the flames. But this is where the hidden story, the one you were never told, truly begins. While that initial, painful jolt of the ERN signal is still echoing through your system, your brain is already initiating a second, more mysterious response. It's a slower, quieter, and infinitely wiser signal known as error positivity, or the P wave. If the first signal was the scream of panic, this second signal is the whisper of consciousness. It's the part of your brain that, after the initial shock, leans in closer and asks, "What just happened? And why?" This is the moment your mind transitions from raw, animalistic reaction to conscious, human reflection. It is the neurological detective arriving at the scene, not to assign blame, but to meticulously gather clues from the wreckage. This P wave is the biological signature of awareness, the foundation of all learning and adaptation. The intensity of that first, painful signal often completely overshadows this second, more subtle one. We become so consumed by the shame of the error that we don't even notice the profound cognitive machinery that is already activated, ready to analyze, deconstruct, and learn. The secret isn't to avoid the first signal, but to understand that its entire purpose is to trigger the second. The pain is not the point, it's the catalyst. This delicate dance between the two signals is where the true alchemy happens. It is the key that unlocks your brain's most extraordinary power, neuroplasticity. This is not a metaphor, it is a physical reality. Your brain is not a static block of stone, but a dynamic, living sculpture of neural connections that is constantly being reshaped by your experiences, thoughts, and focus. When you allow that second signal, the P wave, to do its work, when you consciously engage with a mistake and analyze what went wrong, You are giving your brain a direct command to rebuild itself. You are physically weakening the neural pathways that led to the error and reinforcing new, stronger pathways built from the lesson learned. Imagine a river carving a new, more efficient path through a canyon. That is what you are doing inside your own head. Each moment of reflection is a flow of water, deepening the new channel. This is why simply forgetting your mistakes is the most destructive thing you can do. It leaves the faulty wiring intact, ensuring the error will be repeated. True transformation is not about positive thinking. It is a gritty, biological process of demolition and reconstruction of using the very energy of your failures to physically forge a new, wiser, and more resilient mind. So if our brains are so perfectly designed to learn from error, why does it feel so agonizing? Why do we avoid risks and live in paralyzing fear of failure? The answer lies in a cruel deception perpetrated by another part of our brain, the reward system. This system is governed by a powerful neurotransmitter called dopamine, the chemical of motivation and pleasure. When you succeed, your brain releases a hit of dopamine, making you feel good and encouraging you to repeat the behavior. But this system has a dark side. Your brain quickly becomes addicted to that feeling of success, that chemical reward. Consequently, failure is perceived not just as a lack of success, but as a form of painful withdrawal. That anxiety you feel when trying something new is the dread of dopamine deprivation. This creates a vicious cycle. We begin to choose the safe, predictable path, the one that guarantees a small, steady drip of dopamine, over the risky, unknown path that could lead to a massive breakthrough, but also carries the threat of withdrawal. Our culture amplifies this addiction, celebrating only the victors and shaming the failures. We are trapped, not by our inability to learn, but by a primal chemical craving that punishes experimentation and rewards stagnation. But what if you could hack this system? What if you could consciously override that primal fear of dopamine withdrawal and turn the entire process to your advantage? This is the true power behind what psychologists call a growth mindset. It's not a soft, feel-good platitude. It is a direct neurological intervention. By intentionally reframing your perspective on failure, you can change the chemical and electrical reality inside your brain. When you stop labeling a mistake as a failure and start calling it data, an experiment, or a plot twist, you perform a stunning act of mental jujitsu. You lessen the painful intensity of that initial ERN shockwave, robbing it of its paralyzing power. Simultaneously, you amplify the quiet, analytical PE signal, shifting your brain's resources away from the emotional panic center and toward the prefrontal cortex, the seat of conscious thought and problem-solving. You are manually decoupling the event from the ingrained fear of dopamine withdrawal. You are telling your brain, there is no threat here. This is not an ending. This is information. This simple but profound shift is the difference between being a prisoner of your own biology and becoming its master. This hidden neurological process is not just for correcting small life errors. It is the engine of all human genius, all groundbreaking discovery, and all transcendent art. The entire history of innovation is a history of magnificent failures, meticulously analyzed. Penicillin was discovered because of a contaminated failed experiment with bacteria. The pacemaker was invented when an engineer pulled the wrong-sized resistor from a box by mistake. Countless masterpieces of art and music were born from happy accidents that a lesser creator would have discarded in frustration. These moments of genius were not luck. They were the result of minds that were exquisitely trained, either consciously or unconsciously, to embrace the ERN signal not with fear, but with intense curiosity. They allowed the P wave to flourish, to ask, what is this unexpected result telling me? They followed the error down a new path. They understood on an intuitive level that the greatest breakthroughs do not lie on the well-trodden road of expected success. but in the dark, uncharted territory, revealed only when you take a spectacular wrong turn. Your own catastrophic mistakes hold the same potential. They are the dissonant notes that can lead to a symphony you never knew you could compose. So the next time you feel the cold dread of failure, remember the secret drama unfolding within you. Acknowledge the primal scream of the ERN signal, but do not let it be the end of the story. Listen closer for the quiet whisper that follows it, the conscious, curious P wave inviting you to learn. Understand that the pain is not a verdict on your worth. It is simply the catalyst for the physical rewiring of your mind. Your past is not a list of your failures. It is a library of invaluable data, a blueprint for the person you are becoming. Your brain is not your critic. It is a tireless alchemist, waiting patiently to turn the lead of your mistakes into the gold of your wisdom. This is the raw truth, hidden within your own biology. The power to transform has been inside you all along, triggered not by your successes but by your stumbles. If you are ready to stop fearing your own nature and start wielding its incredible power, if you are tired of the comforting lies and hungry for the deep truths that can set you free, then subscribe to this channel. We don't skim the surface here. We dive into the darkness to find the light. Click subscribe and begin the real work of your transformation.